James Gunn's new DCU has already nailed its version of Superman, and the next member of the DC Universe trinity that I think they need to perfect is Batman. Batman is an interesting character. He's had quite a few live-action interpretations, but none of them are perfect representations of the character. Bale, for example, has an exceptional Bruce Wayne, but his Batman is pretty lacking, and he's more of a grounded Batman whose movies aren't as fantastical as Batman usually is in the comics. Ben Affleck's Batman also has a really good Bruce Wayne, and he has a really good Batman, except for one thing: he kills. Batman's most sacred role is to value life no matter what, and Batfleck just takes the lives of criminals easily. That's not Batman. Zack Snyder would have crafted the perfect live-action Batman, but he violates Batman's most sacred role. Pattinson, who's my personal favorite Batman, also isn't perfect. While his Batman does dive deep into the more detective aspect of Batman, something lacking in recent Batman media, his Batman is also extremely grounded and doesn't have a Bruce Wayne personality at all, which may change in the future, but as of now, he really acts the same as both Bruce and Batman. And the list really goes on. So what James Gunn's new DCU needs to do is finally give us a perfect live-action Batman. I want him to have an amazing Bruce Wayne persona. He needs to have an insane amount of charisma, and I want him to give off billionaire playboy vibes, similar to Bale's. I also want him to be as much as a detective as Pattinson. One of the most amazing aspects of the Batman is the mystery elements. I don't want the whole movie to be just him solving a mystery, but I want it to have some mystery elements in it. I really want him to be intelligent, and I want him to feel like the smartest guy in the room. I want him to be smart in all areas, not just battle IQ. The same thing with his gadgets. I don't want him to randomly get the gadgets from Lucius Fox. I want him to be the one designing them, just like in the comics. He should just be randomly designing gadgets in the background of scenes or while he's talking to people. Let's say the Justice League needs a certain gadget, he should just be able to make it. I also care a lot about the suit he's wearing. I'm not a huge fan of Bale's Batman suit, and like the character himself, I don't think there's been a perfect representation of the Bat suit in live action. The Pattinson suit is the closest we've gotten, in my opinion, but I know not everyone agrees. I want him to have multiple suits, an armored one and a more padded one. I also want him to have the blue and gray suit along with the black and gray suit. I also really want the white eyes for DCU Batman. If Wolverine can pull it off, why can't Batman? The two things I want the most for DCU Batman suit is the white eyes and the cape over the shoulder. I really love those two things and want them to be in this version of Batman. He also needs to have a lot of gadgets. I really want him to be like Arkham Batman in that aspect. Like Arkham Batman, he has a bunch of gadgets and he's just decked out in tech, and I want him to be like that. I also don't want him to be an outlaw like he is in a lot of Batman media where they're like actively trying to catch him or they see him as an enemy. I want him to be a hero to Gotham. In modern media, he's portrayed a lot as a fugitive, but for the DCU, I want him to work with the police. I don't want the police to be actively hunting him. I also need him to have great chemistry with David Cornsweet's Superman, along with whoever they cast as Wonder Woman, and whatever Robin he has in this movie. They really need to cast the perfect actor for him. His Alfred also needs to be great. Alfred is one of the most important members of the Bat family, and he needs to be done perfectly in the DCU. I also want his Batman to be a lot more campy and fun. I'm getting really tired of the dark and grounded Batman we've been getting, although I do love the Dark Knight in the Batman. I don't want him to be extremely campy like he is in Batman and Robin, but I don't want him to be extremely dark. He can still have dark moments, but there needs to be a perfect balance. I need a more comic accurate Gotham for Batman, similar to like Superman, where he's interacting with civilians. I want that for Batman. I really want the DCU Batman to dive a lot into the fantasy elements that we haven't seen a lot of in live action, like him being trained by the Tibetan monks. I really want them to do his lore accurately in live action. The Batcave also needs to be amazing. Like, I want him to have a bunch of things on display, like the giant Joker card. I really need an amazing Batcave for this Batman. I also want him to have a great dynamic with his villains. I want him to have an amazing rogue gallery and like a more comic accurate one this time. I also want him to feel strong. He needs to be extremely overpowered. I need to feel like he can go toe to toe with Superman, and I want him to feel equal to or greater than all of his fellow Justice League members. Like in the comics, it's stated that 1,000 League of Assassins members can't beat Batman, and every member of the League of Assassins knows every single form of martial arts. Batman's just better than 1,000. He's a master of every single martial arts form, even including alien martial arts forms. I need DCU Batman to be like that. I also really want a scene where Batman is fighting and he's severely outnumbered, like where he takes out hundreds of armed guys, similar to like the Michael Keaton Batman fight scene in the Flash movie. With Andy Muschietti directing The Brave and the Bold, I think we might get something like that. Now if I had to fan cast him, I have two main choices. One fan cast that I love is Alan Richardson, which seems really unlikely with the recent statements he's been making, but I would really love that. And my second option for Batman is Jacob Elordi. I was not a fan of this option until I started seeing a lot of fan edits of him as Batman, and I'm like kind of on board with him as Batman now. And he's 6'5", while David Cornsweet is 6'4", which I think is a perfect height difference between the two. For Alfred, I think Matthew McFadden could do a good job. I think he could really pull off that heartwarming version of Alfred that I want to see. And if Dick Grayson is the main Robin, which I think he should be, I think he should be played by Mason Thames. I think he could really do a good job, and he looks like the character. But if the main Robin is Damian Wayne, I think he should be played by Owen Cooper. I've seen a lot of people saying that, and I think he can really pull off that like bratty assassin that Damian Wayne needs to be. So I did a poll asking you guys what you want from DCU Batman, and here are your answers. So from the Skywalker Academy, he said, I just want a fantastical Batman with an established Bat family, and also save Joker for a while. Let other villains have the spotlight. I think it's good that we get at least part of the Bat family established. Like, I think Batman, by the time The Brave and the Bold happens, I want Batman, Alfred, a Robin. I don't want it to be as large. I want the characters to exist, but I don't want them to be part of the Bat family just yet. That'd be great character development. Speaking of the Bat family, I don't want that arc of Batman thinks he can do it without his family. We've seen that. I want him, the Bat family, if there is one, to be just working in unity. And also, I think we should save Joker for a while. Like, have his Joker be established, but don't have him kill Jason Todd just yet. Like, maybe do that in the third movie. Like, let other villains have the spotlight. Now, a comment from our ASD wife, 3721, says Jensen Ackles, Alan Richardson, Henry Cavill, or Jake Gyllenhaal's Batman, which I think they're all really awesome options. I do think my least favorite out of them is Henry Cavill, but I think everyone else would be. If they get cast as Batman, I would be happy. And then from Dirt Dauber YT, we just have Wide Eyes in all caps, which is something I want to see. He wants to see it, and I'm on board with that. I completely agree with that. And from Salty Sid 99, we have Timothy Chalamet, which is a very interesting choice for Batman. I think maybe he could do it. I kind of see him more as Dick Grayson if he had to be a part of the DCU. But I don't think he would be a necessarily horrible Batman. And then lastly, from Tentacled Productions, we have a long suggestion saying, I think I know a few people who'd agree with me here. It needs to be more fantastical and campy. Like he is torn straight from the comic books. His villains can't just be gangsters and humans. We have to literally have all the proper Batman villains. Clayface is a step in the right direction already. He needs to crack a few jokes but also be serious. Bale's portrayal was perfect for that. I know you think otherwise, which I do. And it's exactly the sort of thing that should be done here. A good balance so that he doesn't feel overly serious, and also as that to separate him from the previous versions of the character. I also want to see a gray and dark blue suit since we haven't had that, I believe, since the 1960s in live action. And I don't want him to be overly large or super skinny like Adam West, like the sort of thing we and Y discussed a couple months ago, where it's sort of a more muscular top with a normal middle and downwards, so he has a lot of obvious muscle but doesn't look stupid. The suit itself should be a mix of material and armor, maybe more like the Superman suit, which wasn't armor but had thicker and more resistant material with texture and detailing. That sort of thing would work for me. I really like his idea for Batman. I think his villains really can't be gangsters and humans, like Dr. Phosphorus from Creature Commandos. He is like, we need a Batman strong enough to fight that. And I also think Clayface is a step in the right direction. Like Clayface, it looks like they're going the fantastical route, which would be perfect for the DCU Batman. I also think like we need a good balance between the humor and the seriousness. I don't want him to be overly serious like this comment said. And I also do want the blue and gray suit. I really like this suggestion for DCU Batman. And having the Batman suit being like the Superman suit, I also think that's a good idea. I think he should have multiple suits, but one of them should be more like that. So that's it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments what you want from DCU Batman. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for watching this video.